Hey, Jeannie,
Yeah, Brew.
who's our guest on the Energy Nerd Show today?
Today we have Kerry O'Neill, CEO of Inclusive Prosperity Capital. Good morning, Kerry.
Morning, Kerry.
Good morning, Jeannie and Bruce. Great to be with you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so interested to learn more about what sounds like a really exciting company, nonprofit work that you do.
We are a not-for-profit clean energy investment platform, and we come out of the green banking world, but also sit in the community development finance world. So we're kind of an in-between, a tweener, right? We bridge those two worlds. And we bring clean energy financing models to the kind of communities that are typically left behind from all kinds of financing, but in particular, clean energy financing. And we partner with folks across the country to make that happen. And we are sitting in a moment, like a really, really cool moment. And I'm so excited for what we can all do together in this moment going forward to really have impact on communities that have been struggling for a long time.
So many things coming together. I mean, it's the time in terms of renewable energy development and awareness around climate change, and then the IRA, I'm sure, is impacting your work.
And the infrastructure bill before that, yes, that makes for this interesting moment. Some of it is born out of really negative things, like energy burdens are continuing to grow, especially with the inflationary pressures and the supply chain pressures, right, that we're seeing. We're seeing climate disasters, right, really hitting our communities. And it's hard for anyone to recover from, but for those that are, have fewer resources, doubly, triply so. So that's what makes kind of this moment so interesting. And as you mentioned, for the technologies, the price has come down. We've innovated some really great models for financing. So bringing this all together in this moment is really something special, especially for someone like me who's been, at it in this industry for 14, 15 years, felt like slogging, to be able to think about these new resources that will be available. And maybe we should, just talk a little bit about the resources in the Inflation Reduction Act and how we think it's going to really, change the economics for communities that have really high energy burdens or carbon intensity, frontline communities, and then, like how we pull that all together, if you'd like.
Yeah. What can $500 billion do for you?
Right. Some of it we got to see, like, how's that really going to come out through the government? But, let's just take the tax credits, the incentives, the rebates, We know we need to electrify our homes and our buildings, right? So up to $14,000 will be available for homeowners to electrify their homes and appliances. That's a lot of money, right? We haven't had those kind of rebates to focus on heat pumps, which is still for many a kind of wonky technology and an expensive technology. But we know we need to electrify our homes, right? The tax credits for solar and battery storage, we have certainty now going out for years. EVs, $7,500 for a new EV, but $4,000 for a used EV, which can make a difference if you're lower income and you want to purchase a used EV, and that can, bring down the cost. So, folks like Rewiring America, they project residents could save up to $1,800 per year on average across the country if we take advantage of these things and, get them installed in our homes. And that's going to make a real difference. And then the other thing, which is kind of an extension of the Justice 40, J40 initiative from the Biden administration, written all throughout the bill are, adders and focus on low to moderate income communities and environmental justice aspects, to really ensure that investment is going into the communities that need it most. And then one of the surprising things that just popped up in this bill that we many of us didn't think we'd see is something called the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, which is a $27 billion fund that will really scale up green banking strategies all across the country. And not just through green banks, through community-based lenders, through CDFIs and credit unions and community banks and tribal governments and state and local governments. So that's transformative when you kind of put all these things together.
Yeah, that's in the fine print.
It's in the fine print. That is like a 4-page, $27 billion brand new fund, 4 pages in the ledger, like, whoa, like mind blowing, right? But there's a lot to think about. How do we now create kind of the national infrastructure that will take advantage of and leverage all of these resources, but deliver locally on the ground, responsive to communities in a way that builds wealth for communities, honors what communities want, but still drive greenhouse gas reductions and energy burden reduction? And to me, that's the really interesting work that is now going on. Folks like ourselves, we think of ourselves as like a piece of national infrastructure where we have a particular expertise in how you design financing products and programs that can scale across the country, but that can be delivered through local partners and adapted through local partners. And part of the hard work is to figure out how we can build up capacity on the ground. Who are the contractors that are doing this work in our communities? Who are the trusted organizations that are helping homeowners, businesses, nonprofits, houses of worship, apartment building owners? Like, what do I do? Like, what am I supposed to do in my building? And who do I trust to do the work and all of that? How do I get a work scope that, the engineering, the design and all that done? How do we do that in a way that we're creating companies and hiring folks from the very communities that haven't had that company creation, haven't had those jobs, haven't had those wealth building opportunities? And so that's some of the really interesting work when I think about the ecosystem that we're going to need to create and the infrastructure that needs to be scaled up to make this really have the impact that we're looking for it to have.
That all is a lot. It sounds amazing. I wonder if you can talk a little bit about the delivery piece and maybe just what does that look like from a perspective? Maybe it's from the community group perspective who's used to working with locals and has to trust you.
Yeah, I love that. We love this example because this particular product and program. We love it because I think folks can wrap their heads around it, but it's got all the elements of what I'm talking about. We created a program called the Smarty Loan Program for homeowners that leverages community lenders. So it takes credit unions, CDFIs, community banks who are already working in communities, already making personal loans. And what we do is we help them create a clean energy green version of that unsecured personal loan. Really easy application. What we bring to the lenders like, okay, there are all kinds of different measures you might do in your home to make it, as clean and green and resilient as possible. But what lenders don't understand is I don't understand energy. Like, I don't understand the efficiency levels for heat pumps or solar panels or, EV charging or, you name it. So what we do is we say, look, you don't need to worry about that. We're going to create what the eligible financeable measures are that's customized to your community and your state. Right? So we'll take care of that for you. We'll also vet and oversee great contractors who, by the way, sit across lots and lots and lots of trades. So we'll do all that for you. We'll check their insurance and their quality. We'll even run an inspection protocol for you. So you don't need to worry about any of that. You do you. You do the credit underwrite. By the way, you don't have to design the product. We have a product. It's a product that can work all across the country and can be adapted based on like what measures make sense for, New Mexico versus Connecticut versus, Virginia versus Oklahoma. And so this allows lenders to more easily get involved in green financing, and they have capital, right? They don't need capital. They have capital. That's their business. But this is a model that works particularly well for credit unions and credit unions that are serving low-income communities, right? It's super mission aligned. They already see what's happening to household budgets for their members. They know what these issues are. Their own branches are seeing resiliency issues. We have to evacuate because there is a wildfire, there's a flood, or what have you. And so they make for a great partner on the lending side. And then we then partner with the local communities and municipalities and energy offices to find the right contractors to do this work. And then we partner with nonprofits and cities and towns who are running Electrify, Weatherize, Energize, Solarize campaign. Everybody's got different names, right? And then that local loan product, which isn't really local, it's part of a national, right? But that campaign now has a great product available in their community. And because we're working with credit unions and CDFIs that already serve low-income folks, we have an underwriting box that ensures that as many folks as can reasonably take out financing can qualify for financing. It's not going to address deeply low-income folks. We're not going to do financing solutions for deeply low-income folks. So it also, because we're working with mission-aligned credit unions, we're being reasonable about who should take out financing versus, hey, maybe we need a grant or subsidy program, which now should be available in the Inflation Reduction Act for your deeply low-income folks. So that's a great example of one last important piece to that is we also bring along a credit enhancement for those local lenders. The local lenders are not used to this type of lending. It is new to them, and so they're a little skeptical at first. So we help them get going with a loan loss reserve that's going to backstop any excess losses that they might experience. We now have 10 years of data, so we know that they're not going to have a lot of losses, but they don't, lenders are skeptical. And so we bring that extra support. And that's a green banking tool, right, that we're bringing to take a little bit of, public money to make the private, lenders more comfortable. So when we put all this together, we're working with a partner called, confusingly, Inclusive, but without an E. Inclusive without an E is the trade organization member network of low-income community development credit unions. So they have the very lenders that are working in the communities that most need this sort of financing available to them. And this has been an amazing partnership because, they and us attracted some funding from a bank foundation who's got some CRA motivations. They've got some issues, right? So they're attracted to models like this. So we are now launching this program in New Mexico. The 3 states that have this model currently are Colorado and Michigan and Connecticut. New Mexico is a very different environment, right? It's a different climate and geography and demographics and what have you. And after that, we'll go to Arizona and then to Texas. And what we've seen as we've gotten out there and talked about this model is we now have requests from 20 different regions, states, what have you, all over the country without us even going out and marketing this. So this is just an example of one aspect of we're in a moment. People want this. They want this in their communities. They want the ability to make these upgrades, but they need to be able to pay for them.